Hey y'all, and welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. So last installment I was telling you how we had a lot of footage in the can that we had already shot, and well, you know, that I had to edit. So there is a small gap in timing from my last installment to this one because I took a weekend and went camping. So no editing got done that weekend, or I should say last weekend. But the weekend before, I was here in this workshop working on the Solis. So the Solis has a couple, I don't know, 150 hours on it. And yeah, we ran into an issue where she wouldn't start with the key. So I did a little bit of probing and troubleshooting, and found out that it cooked some wiring. So this is the transmission switch that you're going to see me remove here in this installment. And it looks like this was the whole culprit, because if you look, you can see that the insulation is all melted off on it, which in turn burned up pins and everything like that. And also on this switch, which you also see in the video, the wires are melted on it. But let's get you off to that video. So stay tuned, it's coming up. All right, y'all, so we are in the workshop. I got some wrenching to do on the tractor. So a while back, we had an issue where the tractor didn't want to start, and got it figured out. And because I was able to jump the starter and make it turn, I knew there was a issue with the circuit, and we found it. So this wiring harness, I found that there was a pin inside that was burned. And upon further analysis, I found that the wires, if you look, the wires are melted on the switch. So the pin increased resistance. Resistance creates heat. And so, yeah, we ended up with the inability to start the tractor with the key. Now, the key still controlled whether the motor was on or off, and we used a bump start trigger to fire the tractor, and we've been doing that. We now have the parts that we need to fix the tractor. Solis sent out all new switches, all new harness. Well, not the engine, you know, not the complete tractor harness, but the one where the pin burned, and all these switches. So today we're going to get the tractor back starting with a key. And right off the bat, the wire that I need to re-terminate the connector, because it's the female side of the harness where that little jumper cable was. The socket is burned from the pin, so I have to replace the actual connector. And I think it's going to be easier. Let me turn this light on. I think it's going to be easier because down here, if you look, you can see the connector that needs to be replaced is right here. This one right here. That's like this long. But I think I can get more purchase on it and be able to work on it a little easier. If I pull this plastic that comes around, I should be able to pull that harness up here and be able to work on it up here. Because actually that's going to be the hardest part of this whole thing. All the rest is like plug and play, literally plug and play. So let's get this plastic off and get this job started. I've been putting the job off. I've had the parts for a little while, but it's time to get her done. So let's do it. All right, I kind of gave you the best view I could. because it is some close quarters. But we'll get all these screws out. And I'm hoping there's none underneath the floorboards here. I'm hoping it's just tucked down in. We're going to find out here in a minute. But like I said, it's something I've been putting off. And yeah, because I knew it wasn't going to be much fun. Rachel's getting ready to work on some yard work. So I'm imagining she's going to need my help here in a minute. Because we got an old string trimmer, push string trimmer, that we've had for many years. And we use it like twice a year. So I know it's going to be a hard time starting it. In fact, she's trying now. We'll tip you up. So I don't know if you can see her out there. Trying to get it going. All right, so we got that off of there. And the harness is here. I'm trying to see if there's a way. So it's right there. If we can get it to pop up where I can work on it easily. So yeah, you can see how much wire I have to work with. So, not going to be easy. I'm going to have to be very careful about it. But we do need to redo the crimps and replace this connector because it has a little bit of burning on it. And I want to make sure that we have a good connection because we don't want to do this all over again, right? So, yeah. Let me dig in and see what I can't do. All right, y'all. So I found the easiest way for this connector was I took a pin and kind of measured and then just cut the end off of it, which gave me the 2 wires here. So now I'm going to strip these back and crimp them and get them all ready so that I can get the new connector on. Wish me luck. All right, y'all, so we got them crimped, but man, we're working with a very small bit of wire. So we'll kind of rotate you around, but you can see they're crimped on there. We got that little bit of wire, and now I'm probably going to have to peel this tape back some. All right, y'all, so we had to duck in the house, grab a new battery for this GoPro. But we got her done. The battery died when I was getting ready to push the connectors in. You know, the little clips into the thing. But check it out. It is now got the proper end. Now all I really want to do is, there's a little bit you can see there where you can see the wires. I'm going to wrap this in tape. It has waterproof grommets in there. I'm going to try to get you in there. So you can see those yellow. Those are waterproof grommets to keep the water out of the connector. But I'm going to wrap it with tape to you know, close the harness up. And then we'll fish it back down. And then we got to work under here. So, yep. That was the hard part. That was the part I was really worried about, because like you saw, I mean, I have from here to work with, and yeah, they didn't leave much on there, but now it's got a new proper end. Everything is all watertight because it's got the gasket here and the gaskets in there on the wires. So step one done. All right, so we're down here and we're working on getting this clutch switch in. So there's a little paddle here on the clutch. When you push the clutch, it pushes in on the switch. So part of the installation is going to be making an adjustment to have it like activate the switch correctly. So we're running it down and seeing. It's going to take a little more. Now, the one thing we don't want to do is restrict the clutch movement with the switch. So we got to be careful on how we adjust this. So it should make the switch work, but not bottom the switch out. So if you look, you can see it's now hitting the switch, and I can move the switch quite a bit. And that's the clutch all the way bottomed out. So what we'll do is we'll take a couple more turns, like a turn and a half or so. And we'll try that again. Make sure we have a little spring in that. And we can still go a little more. So we'll run it a little more. And just a little bit, and then what we'll do is we'll run this top one down, which is very hard to do, by the way. And what we're going to do is turn the switch so that the wires are out of the way at the same time. There's not much room in here. So what we're probably going to have to do is run this nut down to bring this up, to run this nut down, to run this nut up. Yes, craziness. All right. So all right, I think that's going to be the sweet spot for that. So now I have to go get some tools to try to run this nut tight so that we can keep its adjustment. Okay, so we got her tight here, on here. And we got this nice and tight so that it doesn't move. We got it turned so the wires are kind of out of the way. But there's a shifter here. And we got the clutch all here. And then the actual wire that we're hooking up to is all the way up here. Right up. Let me tip you up a little bit. It's right here. Here's our new connector. Right there. So on this, we'll need to put this new pigtail, this little Y. It's very interesting the way this works. So it comes down one pin, goes through one switch, and then comes through the other switch and goes right back up to the pin. So what it does is, the switches are normally open, meaning the electricity can't travel the loop. Then when it's in neutral and the clutch is pushed, it lets the electricity come down this wire, through this switch, back, through this switch, back, and then back up to the pins. Basically just closing the loop, allowing the starter to turn. So we need to plug this all together, which is going to be fun because there's not much play here. So let me get this one. And man, did I get lucky getting the replacement connectors. So we're gonna try to get up in here as best we can to get onto this connector. So let me see if we can get that harness down a bit so I can get a little more purchase on that. Because, man, it's up in there. So what we'll do is we'll go right through here just to try to get it all good and seated. Because I think that might be why this suffered a failure. It's probably because this thing is so short. Unless you got teeny tiny hands, which of course I don't, getting in here is not easy. So let's see if we can't get this one pushed together. Which she's fighting me a little bit. So come on. Oh, she started. She's not 100% yet. There it is. So let me look really close, make sure she is locked together. And she is. We'll get this pulled back around. Now we're gonna have to zip tie this all out of the way. And that's pretty much the way it was put together. So what we'll probably do is we'll get it all together, get her zip tied up, out of the way. Because, like I said, there's all this linkage and everything all in here that we don't want to get bound up in. So now that says that's the clutch switch, which is the one we just put in, which is this one. So we'll get the clutch switch. That's the clutch. And then we got the neutral safety switch, which is this other switch right here. And that goes in here. like so. And now, all things being equal, we should be good. Alrighty, y'all. So now we got the key. I'm gonna set you up right here. Hopefully it doesn't shake you off the tractor. But we got the key. And the way we were starting it is this little bump starter. You old car guys will know this. Hooks up to the solenoid. You pull the trigger and she'll start up. Hopefully we don't need that anymore. So you need to be in neutral. We're in neutral. Clutch needs to be in. Clutch is in. We'll turn the key. Let them glow plugs run a second. Here comes the moment of truth. Uh-oh. Okay, so we are getting current draw. All right, so you heard that. It appears that the neutral switch is the one that's giving us the problems. With that said, we got more work to do. I was hoping I didn't have to replace it, but I guess we do. So, all right, let's do it. All right, y'all, so the switch we're after is this one right here. So here's the wire, and if you follow the wire up, right there, I'm touching the top of it. So this is gonna be fun. I'm hoping I can get in on it to get it out, because there's all kinds of stuff in the way. Yeah. All right, y'all. It looks like my O2 sensor socket's gonna fit this thing. So we got it up in there. And we're gonna hope for the best, yeah? So I'm gonna set you up here. Kinda, let's see, maybe that'll work. I don't know, can y'all see? And, all right, so she's coming out. Just gotta keep her going. Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. So we're losing fluid, which means we need to hurry up. Because we're about to overstay our welcome. So, all right. Now we got the new one started. Boy, we just made it. Look at that drip pan, right to the edge. So I don't think y'all can see. So I'm gonna get this tight and we'll see if we got her worked out. All right, y'all. So turns out, I mean, we keep hitting little bumps. Turns out there's two different switches that go in this position. And now I understand why they gave me all these switches. So they gave me two normally open and two normally closed switches. None of the part numbers line up because the switches are revisions, because apparently this was a problem. So it wasn't like I had a part number on one switch that matched another. But anyway, so we've got the neutral switch replaced. We lost a lot of oil. We caught it all in a pan. But that means I got to fill this transmission. Thankfully, the transmission is a shared oil system. So I could just service it from the back and we're golden. So yeah, there's that. But it appears we got her. I got to do some buttoning up and then we'll give her the test. So, all right, y'all. So it looks like we got it. Just have to trim up the pigtails on the zip ties. Unfortunately, the only zip ties I had, bright green. I'm out of the black ones. These I got with stuff for my solar system. I don't know why they sent them in like this bright green, but hey, it's whatever. They work, right? And I mean, you're not really going to see them. So that cover we took off. So what I did was I pulled the harness as much as I could up underneath this. And where it goes past the plate is where the hard plastic connectors are. So I'm not worried about chafing. But then you can see under here, we got it all cleaned up. Everything is all tucked away from the linkage. I just got to cut these two little pigtails. I'm trying to keep an eye on this to see if it's actually leaking or not. So there is a gasket on this switch, the neutral switch, and hopefully it's not leaking. Because if it is, I have to go through all this again, and that's not going to be fun. But we got the switches replaced. So it is a new clutch switch here. This right there. A new neutral switch right there. And then, of course, that little splitter that splits it across the two switches. So like I was saying earlier, interesting is the clutch switch is a normally open switch, and the transmission is a normally closed switch. Or normally closed. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, normally closed. Because when I shift it into neutral, it pushes the ball in and releases the switch. So, yeah, I've been struggling with this for a little bit. Sorry. But we got it, right? So it is a normally open switch on the clutch so that when you push the clutch, it closes the switch. And then the other switch, which that's why there was two of that style switches, I put the normally open switch in, and it turns out it needed to be normally closed. So it would start in gear and it wouldn't start in neutral. Now we switch the switch and it starts the way it's supposed to. It's all buttoned up. Hopefully we're not leaking. I got to put this plastic shield back on, but we're going to clean it up first. I mean, why not? It's off, right? But it was an adventure. How come the jobs that you're like, oh, it'll take 5 minutes? Yeah, it's only like 5 minutes. I just got to re-terminate at the end. That's it, and she'll go right together. Yeah, not so much. But I knew I might have to replace the switches, and it's probably better off I did. Because quite honestly, I don't know where that switch is. I don't know what I did with it. Let me find that switch. So the switch, which is this one. So this switch, I got to looking, and the wires, let me set you up. The wires on it, which is crazy, are actually like melted stuck to this, to where I think this switch was the cause of all our problems. So let me cut this back a little. Let me get the cutters. Hang on a minute. So I think this was the whole problem. And now I'm glad I actually replaced it, because you couldn't see it when it was up in there. But look at the wires in the insulation. It was actually like, yeah, look at that. So I guess it was an issue, and they knew it was this switch, because originally I requested just the little Y piece and the clutch switch, because the clutch switch wires were messed up too. Thankfully, the main engine harness, the main harness through the body of the tractor is still in good shape. Yeah, look at this. It's actually all this exposed wire in here. As I peel this off, it's all stuck to the inside of this. So, yeah, look, that's all bare copper. Well, I mean, that could have been a lot worse, right? Thankfully, the pins kind of acted like a fuse. So, all right, this job is done. Now I got to service the oil, and I have to go, or I have to get ready to take her out back, because she's got to do some work too. So, all right, y'all, time to give it a quick ops check. So, we'll put the key in. Glow plug warm up. So we're gonna try neutral, no clutch. Nothing. Then we're gonna try in gear with clutch. Nothing. And now we're gonna try neutral with clutch. Looks like we got her. So, good stuff. Now we can get rid of this thing. So, all right, that job's done. I serviced the transmission some. I want to wait till I can get her out and where she's sitting level to make sure she's serviced all the way up, because we did get quite a bit out of this transmission. But now she runs like she's supposed to, or at least she starts like she's supposed to. The next big thing is the axle seal on this side. That's not going to be fun. That's going to be a long job. I got vacation time coming up, and I'm going to use that to pop that off and replace that axle seal. Because once that axle seal's done, she's 100%. The axle seal is my fault. I got grass wrapped around the axle and didn't clean it off, and it worked its way in behind the seal. So, ruined the seal. It's all my fault. But, all right, this job is done, y'all. So, we'll catch up with you on something else. So, we got the tractor fixed. There's still one more small job, like I said, on the footage. I got to do the axle seal. That's my fault, But we love each and every one of you. And if you could, please click that like, subscribe, and notification bell to let you know when we put out another video. We are slowly growing, and we've been doing this for a little while, and the subscribers and it gives us the motivation to put out more content. So if you like what you see, if you don't like what you see, comment. Let us know. What do you want to see? But we love each and every one of you, and stick with my motto. If you're thinking about family, you're thinking about friends, give them the WhatsApp or the WhatsApp. You'd love to hear from them too. And until the next installment, auf Wiedersehen.